Welcome back to video part 3 for assignments 5 and 6, the Making an Impact presentation. I left off the last video showing you some of the tools and that you can use in Google Slide presentations. I'm going to show you a couple things before I move on to how you actually access the expectation for what you should put on your individual slides. So we talked about there's 2 ways to insert animations. Okay, so the first way is you can cause the elements on your slide to do different things. And in order to do that, you have to have it selected, right? The element that you want to do something, you're going to select it. You'll know it's selected because it'll have the blue box around it. So if I want these words to do something, I'll click on it. The blue box will show up, and then I'll go to Insert, and I'll choose Animation. It's going to open up this pane. This is called a window pane. So, and then I'll be able to put different animations on different things. So say, for example, I want to change this animation here. I want it to fly in from the top. So I'll change it to fly in from top, and then I'll press play so that we can see what that looks like. And that's what it looks like when it flies in from the top, okay? Stop that. You'll notice I put an animation on this slide right here also. And I'll show you what that looks like. I had it to flip. So that's what you saw it do earlier. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like if I make it a cube. Let's see. So that's what that animation looks like. So there's different animations that you can use. The way to put an animation on a whole slide is just to make sure that nothing is selected. When you have something selected, that means you're putting the animation on that specific thing. If nothing is selected, then you're putting the animation on the slide itself, and that's under Slide, right? Transition, okay? If you're trying to put it on a specific thing, you're going to select that thing, and you're going to go to Insert Animation. So they're a little bit different. But overall, that's how you get your slides and your objects and information on your slides to move and to do different things as they show up in your presentation mode. You can use this. You don't have to. It's not required, but it does allow you to be creative and to show me your skills for Google Slides. Now let's talk a little bit about expectations for slides, because the assignment that we got is not very specific, right? In the resources, it doesn't tell us what to put on our slides. So I took the liberty of creating kind of a layout so that you know how many slides you need to have and what you need to put on all of your slides. So let me show you where you can access that. It's really simple. You don't even have to open a document. All you have to do is go to the YouTube video for the assignment. So notice I'm under the YouTube video for assignment for part 2 of 3. There are 3 parts to this assignment. This is the 3rd part that you're listening to right now, but this information is under all 3 videos. So no matter which one you watch, the information will be there, the same information. So just so you know. So the way that you access the information to see what to put on your slides is you click where it says Show More, okay? Under Show More, it's going to open up the rest of the information. So this part is just kind of telling you what this video is about, okay? You see I reintroduced the research question: how can young people use social media, technology, and other communication tools to bring positive changes to communities around the world? I also give you some possible issues and problems that communities face here. So you can kind of read about that to get your brain thinking, you know, what are some things that we can use technology and social media to solve. And then I go into explaining the expectations for your presentation, right? Slide by slide. So I start with slide 1. That should include your name and the title of the assignment. I tell you what to put on slide 2, right? An explanation of how young people can use social media to bring positive changes. And that should be 3 to 5 sentences. I'm really specific because I want you to know exactly what is expected of you. It gets a little more in depth once you get to slides 3, 4, and 5, because there's a lot of information that you have to kind of make sure your slide has. So for slide 3 and 4, they are the same. You're going to find 2 examples of young people who have used social media to impact their communities. And you might know, well, I don't know any people who's done this. Again, what's a great resource to find out? Google's a great resource. So I'm just going to open a window, and to find some examples, I may just search exactly that, right? Examples of youth who have changed the world using social media. Let's see what it pulls up. And here I can find some, it comes right up. 8 inspiring teens who use social media to change the world. So this site gives me 8 examples. I only need 2 for my presentation. So maybe I'm going to just read about all 8 of them and choose the one that I am inspired by the most. And those are the 2 that I'm going to do my slides on, right? So I'll do slide 3 on one example, and I'll do slide 4 on another example. And when I'm doing those slides, these are the bits of information that I have to include for each example, right? Let's go back to that search and see how else. I can also search, right? For this one, I just searched social media, right? I can change this to technology, and it'll bring up a completely different search, right? So examples of youth who have changed the world using technology. Let's see what happens. Okay. So looks like it's an article or forum. Here, 8 inventions from teenagers who want to change the world. So this might help me with technology, or different ways that students have used technology to change the world. So again, depending on what I search, it'll bring up different examples. But out of all the examples that you get, you only need 2. Okay, so you're going to explain who was behind that example, right? Who was the teen or group of teens? What issue were they trying to solve in their community? What did they use? Social media, technology? What kind of social media? What kind of technology? And how did they use it? What did they do with it? Did they create something? Did they create a hashtag? What did they do with that social media or that technology? And here, right, number 6, what was the positive outcome that resulted? So what happened? Right, based on what they wanted to do and based on what they did, what was the positive outcome? And then number 7, you have to include the link as to where you got that information from. So if you're using Google and it brings up a resource, and say you pick one of the kids on this site, you're going to include this link up here on your slide, okay? So that's how you're going to fulfill all 7 of the components for each of those slides. And that's pretty much the same for slides 3 and 4. Now, when you get down to slide 5, this is when you're going to talk about yourself, okay? It's very similar to slides 3 and 4, but for this one, you're not going to be Googling an example. You're going to be thinking about yourself and how you can use social media or technology or both to create change in your community. And you're going to also follow these 7 things. So for this one, you're going to introduce yourself and your community. So tell me about you. Where do you live? What's in your community? What are some issues or problems that your community faces? Here, number 2, out of those issues or problems faced in your community, which one are you going to try to solve, right? Which one do you care about a lot that you want to try to help fix? I'm going to renumber this because it looks like it's wrong. This should be number 3. So number 3, right, how are you going to do it? Are you going to use social media? Are you going to use technology? What are you going to use? Which social media platform? What technology are you going to use to solve that problem? Number 5, how are you going to use that social media or that technology to solve a problem? Are you going to create something? What are you going to do? And as you read about what other youth have done in the world, it'll help to give you ideas about what you can do. So it's really important that you spend time on slides 3 and 4 because it'll help you brainstorm ideas for your slide when you get to slide number 5. Okay, and then for number 6, right, you haven't really done yours, so you're just going to think about, if you did it, what positive impact or positive change could it have on your community, right? You're thinking hypothetically. So what do you want to happen? What do you think could happen? And then any links or resources that helped you to to develop or plan your idea, or anything that helped you become inspired to have that idea, you want to include those links as well. So these are all the things that you'll put on your slide. You can put them in a paragraph format. You can put them in a list. It's totally up to you how you decide to display them. But your slides should be creative. It should have images. It should have color. It should have different fonts. I'll actually show you how to change the font in a moment. I forgot that part when I was going through Google Slides, but I'll go back and show that before we close out this video. Slide number 6. You're going to answer a question in your own words and according to your own opinion. You're going to answer this question right here. Why is it important for young people to use technology and social media to make positive changes in their communities around the world? So why does this matter, right? Why do we want young people helping out their communities with technology and social media? Here are some things to think about when you're answering the question, right? Think about how age doesn't matter, right? It doesn't prevent you or limit you from doing what's needed to help other people. You can make technology or social media advancements even if you're a child. You don't have to be an adult. A lot of these youth, they're anywhere from as young as 7 or 8 years old all the way to their teens. Think about also how young people, you guys live in a technological age. You grew up with technology, whereas others in different generations, older people, my parents, your parents, our grandparents, they didn't really grow up with the same access. So think about that as well, how that makes a difference. And then also think about what could happen if young people didn't care about helping others in their communities, right? Because you guys are growing up in a different technological age. You have an advance. You have an advantage. You can help older generations use technology to solve problems that they have, but they don't know technology well enough to solve. So think about those things when you're formulating your response on slide number 6. Notice there's only 6 slides for your project, okay? So it's not that many, but the work that you put into these 6 slides has to be well thought out and well planned. So it's going to require some time and some effort. All right, so here, this little note, you should include pictures and images on your slides, and you should be as creative as possible. And you have to submit it into Schoology for grading and credit, right? That's the same message that's on all of the videos. So that's the information that you need to be able to complete your presentation. Again, this assignment has 3 videos. Make sure that you're watching all 3 to get all the information that you need. And I'm going to show you one more thing before I sign out of this video, and that's how to change your font. So here we are. We have some text on our slide. To change the font, I'm going to go ahead and highlight it. And if I go here where it says font and click the drop down, it brings up different fonts that I can choose from. So here's a font. I can choose Calibri. I can choose Arial. Right, there's different fonts that you can choose from, and there's more fonts here also that you can choose from. So you have lots of different options to be as creative as you want when it comes to putting together your PowerPoint presentation. So please take your time, don't rush, be creative, think about it, collaborate with people that you have at home to ask them, what are some things that they think could be fixed in the community? How do you think they can fix them? You can get help from the people around you as well as the internet. So I hope that all is helpful information when completing your presentations. One final note about the draft versus the final. So the assignment is the same, right? The draft and the final, the only difference is when you submit your draft assignment, wait until you get feedback to submit your final assignment. I'm going to say that again. When you submit your draft, wait for feedback before submitting your final, because what your final is going to be is your presentation after you've made any changes or adjustments based on the feedback. So you can't submit your final until you get feedback on your draft. That feedback will tell you what you need to do to your presentation to make it the best, and then you can submit it as the final assignment. So if you have any questions, we'll be kind of reviewing anything that you have to ask regarding these videos in our virtual learning sessions at 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. as usual. Happy getting your assignments done, you guys.